Okay, in this episode, let's talk a little bit about the sorter reader and the sorting process.
The IBM Sorter Reader.
This is the fully transistorized IBM sorter reader. Every character that is being read by the sorter reader is being visually displayed on the panel. It's here that we actually read the numeric character, direct the check through the chute blade and into the correct pocket. We call the IBM sorter reader a digital sorter because it sorts on an individual position within a given field. We may select the position and we can select the field.
It may operate independently for digit-by-digit sorting, as we see here, sorting items at speeds up to 96,000 an hour to accomplish fine sorting.
So what is analogous in today's world to the sorter reader? Well, the reading process was more making a electronic version of the checks. We've talked a bit about that already in the encoding process. The sorting process, though, might not be thought much about by most people in today's world. Sorting, though, is still an important part of most of our systems in one way or another. It may not be done as a simple sort routine. Sometimes we might use a database access and ask the database to deliver data within a sorted order. If we go back to the historical world generations ago for how this thing was done manually, you would record transactions in a journal throughout the day. Unfortunately, customer ID number 1 didn't show up first thing in the morning and do the first transaction at the bank, and then customer number 2 show up, and then customer number 3. Unfortunately, they show up in random order throughout the day. Customer 1 might not show up till noon, customer 2 doesn't ever show up, customer 3 is at the end of the day, customer 5,000 is the first one in the morning. So as you record in the journal book, the transactions just in order as they come. However they happen, you simply write them down as fast as you can to record what happened throughout the day. Then the process at the end of the day is we have to post those transactions to the ledger. The ledger is where we bring together the customer transactions wherever they happen to have happened across whatever window or teller they happen to happen, even in different places in the city, in different branches, any place. We bring those together into a single location so we maintain a single customer balance and we know what's happened with that customer. That process of doing that in a manual world is you would typically keep the ledger in a sorted order by customer account numbers. So you'd start with the ledger number 1 for customer number 1. But because the journals were all out of order, you would start reading the journal file to find any transactions for customer number 1. When you found a customer transaction for number 1, you keep reading till the end of the file, the end of the ledger, the end of the journal, to see if there were any more transactions for customer number 1. If there were, you would add them together. And then, at the end of going all the way to the bottom of the journal file, you would take the balance from the ledger, update it with those transactions, and write a new balance for the new day. Then you would go to customer number 2 in the ledger file and do the same thing again, scanning the journal file from top to bottom. Now, if I have 5,000 customers, I'm going to scan my journal file 5,000 times. If I have, on average, 2 transactions per customer per day, my journal file is now 10,000 journals long for all of my transactions through the day. You can see how slow that process is. The simple fact of a sorter is to put the journals in order at the end of the day, independent of how they occurred throughout the day, in the same order as the ledger file. That process of sorting the transaction file means that then I can read the records off of those 2 files simultaneously and update them one right after the other without having to scan all the way through the journal file to find additional journals for that customer. That's the purpose of a sort process, and it's still very applicable, embedded in most of our posting processes in the world today. We sort the transaction files before we apply them to the ledger, and the ledger is maintained in sorted order.